I'm a different person and I've changed a lot, and I feel like I know exactly where I'm going and what I'm doing.
She was the supermodel of the 90s. Unstoppable, untouchable, unforgettable. At the height of her fame, Linda Evangelista was everywhere. And then she vanished. No headlines, no explanation. This is the story of the supermodel who risked everything, and what followed was everyone's worst fear.
I didn't go from rags to riches. I had like a I came up gradually. I wasn't an overnight star. It took me a few years to get going. I worked every day, but I didn't do genius things right from the beginning.
From the start, Linda knew exactly what she wanted. Unlike many other models, she didn't stumble into fame, she chased it. As a kid, she was already obsessed. Fashion magazines were her wallpaper, costume jewelry, her treasure. She'd sneak into her aunt's makeup and dream of the runway. Modeling wasn't a fantasy, it was the plan.
When I first cut my hair off and I went to Milano to do the shows, I was booked for like 20 shows. About 15 of them canceled me because they didn't understand the haircut at first.
Her first modeling jobs were small. She did bridal catalog shoots in Canada, earning just $8 an hour. She saved every penny to build a portfolio. When she finally made it to Europe, she didn't get welcomed with open arms. She was told she wasn't tall enough, not conventional enough. The rejections were endless, but she refused to back down. It took years to break through, but when she landed that first Vogue cover, everything changed. Linda was in.
When Linda and I work together, it's like we create things together. So that's what makes it, she's creative and she puts all of herself into it.
Then came the turning point. Her creative partnership with photographer Steven Meisel. They didn't just take pictures, they made fashion history. Together, they created images so powerful, they defined an entire era. Linda wasn't just keeping up with trends, she was the trend. From 90s minimalism to high glam campaigns, she evolved with fashion, and often ahead of it. Her face was everywhere, magazines, runways, and even George Michael's Freedom music video.
The icon thing came, I give most of the credit to George Michael, because he catapulted us into like another place.
The Freedom video.
We were just hitting fashion people, and suddenly I was being recognized by kids on the street, or, and that's what really did it.
Everything shifted the moment she appeared in George Michael's Freedom music video. It wasn't just another job. It was the moment Linda Evangelista crossed over from fashion icon to global phenomenon. Suddenly, she wasn't just a supermodel, she was everywhere. Fashion people knew her. Teenagers on the street knew her. She wasn't just in the magazines, she was the culture. That one video made her immortal. And then, without warning, she disappeared. The woman who once defined what it meant to be a supermodel had vanished, and no one knew why.
I think I can do a lot of the designers and look right in the clothes, from the Japanese to something more young, or to something trendy, or to something sophisticated and elegant. I feel like I can fit into all of them just by changing my look.
While her peers were in the spotlight, walking runways, launching brands, staying visible, Linda Evangelista disappeared. No interviews, no fashion campaigns, no red carpet moments, just total silence. The industry moved on, but her absence was screaming. Fans wondered, had she quietly retired? Was she sick? Had something gone wrong? Rumors circulated, but no one had answers. The truth was far more painful. Linda wasn't hiding from fame. She was hiding from herself.
And I understood Cool Sculpting would take care of that. And it was supposed to be non-invasive, not painful, no surgery.
In 2015, Linda made a decision that she thought would help her maintain the image the world had always known her for. She had a cosmetic procedure called cool sculpting, a non-invasive treatment described as safe, simple, and effective. Instead of breaking down fat cells, something awful happened. Linda got paradoxal adipose hyperplasia, or PAH. Her fat cells did not dissolve, but multiplied, hardened, and grew. The results were visible, disfiguring bulges that left her body unrecognizable.
Do you see the angle of my arms?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I can't put them next to my body because this bulge is making them veer off in an angle. Versace won't want to dress me with that sticking out of my body.
But the physical pain was only part of it. The emotional toll ran deeper. Linda fell into a heavy depression. She stopped working, turned down every offer, avoided mirrors, and pulled away from friends. Even though her relationship with her son began to fray, she said he used to ask why she didn't laugh anymore. This wasn't about vanity. It was about identity. Her face had built her career, and now it no longer felt like it was hers. For over 5 years, Linda Evangelista didn't just step out of the spotlight. She disappeared into isolation, shame, and silence.
My son used to say, before I told him the truth, he used to make comments frequently like, "Mommy, do you remember when you used to be fun? Mommy, remember when you used to laugh all the time? How come you don't laugh anymore?" So I hate what this has done to my relationship with him.
For more than 5 years, Linda Evangelista lived in near total seclusion. No cameras, no fashion shoots, no public appearances, just silence. All during that time, she kept hiding away, grieving for all that had happened to her hair, body, and identity. Meanwhile, the fashion world was still continuously moving, which she'd once helped to build. Designers wouldn't call, magazines wouldn't write, no one offered a word of consolation, no lifeline, only isolation. Eventually, Linda decided to fight back. She filed a $50 million lawsuit against the parent company behind Cool Sculpting, claiming physical disfigurement, emotional trauma, and lost income.
I was obsessed with fashion. I was obsessed with clothing, hairstyles, makeup when I was very, very young.
But even after years in the shadows, Linda Evangelista wasn't gone. She was gathering strength. In 2022, she stepped back in front of the camera for the first time, not for a luxury brand or a runway comeback, but for herself. The cover of British Vogue marked her quiet, powerful return. It wasn't the flawless image people were used to. The shoot was carefully lit, her jawline shaped with tape and elastic, her neck partially concealed. But that was the point. Linda wasn't pretending the pain hadn't happened. She was finally showing it.
I just loved it, and I knew that's what I wanted to do. I wasn't discovered in a mall. I was sort of discovered in the Miss Teen Niagara pageant.
Soon after, Linda re-emerged once more, this time in a Fendi campaign celebrating 25 years of the iconic baguette bag. Standing beside Kate Moss, she wasn't airbrushed into perfection. There were no filters, no fanfare, just presence. Linda wasn't trying to reclaim the fame she once had. She was reclaiming something deeper, control. This wasn't a comeback in the traditional sense. It was a quiet, powerful redefinition of beauty on her own terms. After everything she'd endured, Linda wasn't showing up to prove she was flawless. She was showing that flaws don't erase worth.
It came back in my pec muscle, my pectoral muscle, and invasive. And what we need to remember is if you find something, the earlier you find it, the better. I just think everyone should test because it can save your life.
Okay.
Just when it seemed like Linda was finding her footing again, life threw another cruel twist. Months after her return, she was diagnosed with breast cancer again. This time, she kept it almost entirely to herself. Not out of pride, but out of fear. She quietly underwent a bilateral mastectomy, facing the unthinkable in silence. It wasn't about hiding from cameras anymore. It was about surviving. Once more, Linda disappeared, not from shame, but from the terrifying question of whether she'd live to see another comeback at all.
You learn from watching your mistakes. That's what happened with my pictures also. I learned never to make that face again or never to wear that makeup again.
And in 2023, Linda found her voice again, not on a runway, but in a photo book she co-created with Stephen Meisel. It wasn't just a tribute to her career, it was an act of reclamation. In her own words, "I want to be seen how I choose to be seen." This wasn't about chasing approval, it was about finally telling her story, with truth, with pain, and with the power of someone who risked everything and chose to stand tall anyway. Linda Evangelista's story isn't just about beauty, fame, or even loss. It's about what it means to fall apart in silence and rise again in your own truth. And in doing so, she redefined what strength, survival, and beauty really look like. If this story touched you, like, share, and subscribe. There's always more to the story than what we see.